Dawning of the Eternal Dynasty. Short biography. Dawning of the Eternal Dynasty is a short film delivered as a summary about an understanding that can be understood by any created consciousness of mature unfoldment. This vision is not mystical or supernatural in the sense that the world views it. On the contrary, it is normal and natural for anyone who desires to know the truth about the Creator, who He is, and how He actually exists in the scheme of reality. My husband, Javon Lately, aka Zephra Y. Beggarman, NB, did not have a vision as some imaginary imagery. On the other hand, he was granted a place in consciousness to view a fraction of untold love, wisdom, and unspeakable glory. Zephra came to understand that true visions are never given per se, but are always showing, always accessible for viewing in the upper regions of higher thought, the higher kingdoms of consciousness, the higher heavens. If anyone desires to see all that is needed for one to sacrifice the false self that was shaped and molded from earthly experiences, producing psychological impediments that over time became extremely comfortable in the mind to keep using what happened to you in life, good or bad, as excuses to do evil, even looking at what happened to you as badges of honor, as to say, look what I accomplished, or what I survived and lived through. If anyone sacrificed these and much more that is connected to the false self, Matthew 16, verses 24 through 26, the person who does this will be met by the Word, who is Yahshua the Messiah, John 6, verse 37, and would start to vibrate at the same frequency as the upper regions of thought, or as what is commonly called the kingdom of the heavens. This is open to anyone regardless of gender, race, creed, religion, or organizational ties. In matter of factual truth, gender, race, creed, religion, or organizational ties will drop completely off the psychical mind at the death of the false self. Revelation 1 verse 17, or at the death of the false personality, as it is called by Gurdjieff and Pensky. For all these things are without and are associated with the false personality. These things do not exist in the spiritual Yahshua. Regenerated man, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had none of the sort. No religion. They lived in a universal truth, devoid of man-made religion. The name, or better yet, the title Zephra Y. Beggarman, NB, came to Javon in a powerful way. Zephra came to the mind of Javon when he was playing guitar in a band as a stage name. The members of his band stated that the chords he played on his guitar was like a gentle, soft breeze from the soft, melodic tones that issued from his playing. Later in life, from deep study and contemplation, my husband saw and understood from spiritual experiences that he became the soft, gentle wind, John 3, verse 8, and was commanded to write to the people what he was being taught by Yahshua himself. Javon saw that Yahshua was within him and feels his power in supreme love, joy, understanding, and wisdom, with calmness, possessing outstanding control over the animal, fleshly, false self. This explains the middle initial, the letter Y, that is in the title Zephra Y. Beggarman. Beggarman came in a very strange way to Javon There was a day that when Javon was in heavy study and contemplation, while he was alone in communion with Yahweh, high in spirit, then in that same moment, he exploded with a strange, uncontrollable, involuntary, extremely loud utterance. This was no language he knew or was taught. This event scared Javon to a very high, unspeakable level. He attempted to try to stop the speech by covering his mouth and running around the house, but it would not stop. He explained that what was even more fearful than this perfectly fluent and well-spoken language he knew not of was the fact that his spirit seemed to be begging for its life in an unexplainable, apologetic way. His physical body poured forth great sorrows with great tears, sputum, and accompanied with excessive rhinorrhea. This was very fearful to him, for he knew that if his spirit was begging like this, then he was in very great trouble exceedingly. Javon saw from Yahshua himself that his trouble was due to not giving up certain aspects of his life at that time that he knew that Yahweh required of him. This event persuaded him towards surrendering the things in life that he wanted to keep, even friends and family members. Please read Matthew 10, verse 37. My husband always studied and researched since he was 16, but this event, along with others, led him into a more serious, ceaseless, extensive search and study for the truth of all things pertaining to Yahweh, leaving no stone unturned. Feeling this event was upon him again, and not knowing what this was at that time, Romans 8:26, and being foolishly curious, understanding that this would occur only when he was alone, he decided to try to record this speech on his phone to try to dissect what his spirit was saying. When he did this, the feeling pulled away from him. Then a profound silence came in and filled the whole house, to the point even the white noise that is usually in the background was not present anymore. He then felt he did not see or hear with the physical eyes or ears, but felt a look that he can only describe as if someone gives a condescending expression, as to say, "You really tried to do that." This was not said out loud. This was known and felt very deep within him internally. This was the beginning of one of the first events when he started to recognize Yahweh being a gentle and kind Father to him. He saw that Yahweh interacts with mankind. Zephyr saw a divine sense of humor existing within the core of Yahweh. This made him fall deeply in love with the Father. This astonished him greatly. He understood that the Homo sapiens are not far nor distant from Yahweh at all. With this understanding that mankind are one with Yahweh, even knowing that the Creator of heaven and earth have attributes very similar to man, nevertheless in a divine manner, or rather man has his attributes. Zephyr understood and experienced a nothing of self. Zephyr saw that he was a nobody, NB. He was only an extension of the divine will. Thus, NB was established at the end of the title, Zephyr Y. Begerman, NB. It was only later pointed out to him from Yahweh that NB means in Latin, nota bene, meaning note well or please note. NB is used to emphasize an important point. This was very awe-striking and fearful to him in many different aspects, on many levels of understandings. From reoccurrences at far apart increments of the same event, the understanding was given that this utterance was extremely secret. It would never come out on demand. nor in front of other people, unless Yahweh deem it so for a divine purpose. Acts 2, 1 through 13. Not for a sign to show the presence of the Holy Spirit. Matthew 12:39. There is no need to show that the presence of the Holy Spirit is always abiding. It is already so. Matthew 28:20. It was also shown thoroughly with undeniable and undebatable truth that the tongues that are spoken in any establishment built with man's hands is the fake false tongue of Satan, the counterfeit tongue of Satan, with no exceptions, no matter how powerful or how sincere it looks or feels. This tongue is so holy and precious and highly pure, so highly personal and private to Yahweh, that even the one this is happening to would not be part of the conversation unless granted by Yahweh himself. When the true tongue is speaking through a man, the event is absolutely terrifying, and that man would not be able to speak for hours, even days after the event, and something will change in that man permanently. The true speaking in tongues is Yahshua talking to Yahweh on our behalf. Hebrews 7:25, Romans 8:34. This is done to repair the soul and establish a powerful, unwavering commitment with firm, unbelievable psychological changes. For any man to even be qualified for this tongue to settle and speak through him, the Son must receive that man or woman from a real sacrificial love for Yahshua, regardless of who he is. Matthew 16:24 and Luke 14:27. Zephyr is nothing special at all, not even a little bit. Every man possesses the power to see and communicate with the Father through Yahshua. And every person has the power to create by the power of freedom of choice, either towards the establishment of your consciousness on earth that is recognizable to men in some shape and form, by a deal or covenant with the devil in the form of recognition and reputation, or a person can establish their consciousness in the kingdoms of the heavens within, in secret, where no man can see, recognizable and only known to Yahweh himself. Luke 17:20 through 21. In establishments made by man's hands dwells, at best, the lukewarm man who gives to Yahweh that which is easy, that which the man cares least about. 2 Timothy 4:3. They do not possess or have a contrived, sorrowful heart, nor the great desire to become one with Yahweh. You will see this by the fruit that they bear. Matthew 7:15 through 20. The number one understanding to keep in mind that will be very helpful to the reader before watching this film or movie book is that every book inspired by the Holy Spirit that speaks only according to the word you hear now, the same that's in books such as the Holy Bible, the Apocrypha, most of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and any books from great men like Zadoks, sages, ascetics, and the like of Jacob Boehme, William Law, John Bunyan, Gurdjieff, Opensky, Maurice Nicole, and John Herman Randall, who truly lived the regenerated life in real time, the real biological life, not the way they see fit, but that which is of Yahshua Messiah. These books and countless more are full of powerful words and holy thoughts. These words on the pages of these books are in holy formation, forming holy thoughts that acts as conveyances into heaven. The real Hebrew sages called this the Merkabah, Ezekiel's wheel, the fiery whirlwind, or the chariot which transports anyone who unites their will to Yahweh's divine will, thus vibrating in harmony with the heavenly frequency on these waters of knowledges. You can view this in Genesis 1:2, only in the Hebrew Interlinear Bible, which is the closest rendering to the truth. This Merkabah or chariot will rise anyone who forfeit the terrene life with no respect of person to the visions of wonder. Jacob Bowen saw the Ezekiel wheel in its technical aspects, which we will explain in this film. Zephra, from extensive study, prayer, and spiritual battles in suffering and starving the flesh, not allowing its desires, appetites, and passions to manifest, allowing Yahshua to modify psychological false knowledge, was shown several aspects of what Boehm saw, nonetheless in a different remote area in consciousness. The second thing to keep in mind is that the image forms that are presented in this movie, like Yahweh, Yahshua, the Holy Spirit, angels, Satan, devils, demons, etc., are not all what these beings or things look like in their spiritual true essence. Zephra is not at all implying that the things he saw or see in the heavens look like anything that can be spoken of, created, nor compared to anything that's on the physical earth. These things are at best an extremely poor sketch to serve as markers to assist the reader to understand the seven spirits of the Creator and the functions that these beings display in the universe, which the Creator used to manifest himself in and as each distinct person in the Godhead, also to convey what was seen in consciousness by the producer and writer of this short film.